Hello there, Josh here, obviously. Quick video looking at the 430 Newmarket, where I quite like the Willie Muir Grassic horse, Mitros on Fire. Um, why do I like him? Right, well, I'm in Gigi's Gold. Let me try and whiz through. Uh, he's generally pretty consistent around the mark of 84, 85. He's actually never won from a mark higher than 85. If I just click on the Instant Expert, you might see why. This obviously gives a quick overview of the horses against conditions, the class, and you can change all these different things, distance, field size, different types of race. He's only won from 15 on the all-weather. With flat turf races, I like just looking at turf form generally, especially handicaps when using Instant Expert anyway. You can probably see why he jumps out, especially on the ground. You'd think this will be rattling quick. He does appear, all of his profile suggests he's the best and he's at his best when on good to firm. So that was kind of one of the ways in. He evidently has the class, and you can change this. I've kind of put class 1 class through to class 3. I can actually, if I change it to class 1 and 2, just to see at those that may have performed at a higher level. And you can see 3, Abel Kane, in fairness, has been nibbled at, and I can see why. Looking at this, I suppose if you're in the mind of savers or want to have a deeper dive in yourself, you could have a closer look at him. He's £7 below his last winning mark. I'm not sure if a bit regressive, but I'll touch on him in a second. But Mitros, he's won at class 2 level before. This is class 3. Persuasion has as well. Nothing else in this as yet has won above this class level, and that kind of class edge is something I like to look at and don't mind having on side. He's £1 below his last winning mark, which you can see there. You can see down the right some of these, £2 above last winning mark. Toymo's son, the Minutia horse, has actually not won a race yet. Benakra's £2 above, and so on and so forth. Now, it's best not to look at those and think these horses can't win from above these marks, because they might be progressing and they might be last time out winners, and they might be working their way through the handicap rankings, of course. But especially when you're dealing with more exposed handicappers, they obviously tend to have their mark and tend to pop up when they're below or around the last winning mark, usually because that's deliberate, because the trainer is fully aware that they can compete from X mark. They might try and get them back down to that mark and then tune them up and put them in ideal conditions. So yeah, Mitros on Fire obviously ticks the good to firm box, which a few in here have a question on. That's just the win stats. If I click the place stats, again, there's a few that have never kind of placed as yet on good to firm. If I just do all flat runs, yeah, there's kind of 3 that have yet to place on it, but Mitros is definitely best on this surface, and Abel Kane to a point as well, although I think he might be better with a bit of cut. So if I just do the class 3 of the race here, again, you can see Mitros a nice, at a glance, there's a way in when there's kind of lots of green and lots of orange in these Instant Experts, as opposed to lots of red. That's always useful. You can click in, and I do click in all these different things and see where that form was achieved. And the other thing of note is his course form. That's kind of why he went on my list. He won over in 21, over 1 furlong shorter off 85, RPR 91. Under the much missed blessing Stefano Kirky, and then Newmarket 7 furlongs August 22. He won here off 85 again, so he's £1 below. Some decent RPRs there on fast ground, which I do think is important to him. If I have a look at the race card, the other thing I wanted to look at, so that's a kind of my first port of call, I suppose, when flicking through some of these race cards. Trainer form and different things jumps out at me as well, all these kind of green symbols. If I just look at pace, always important, and a must in any analysis. Let me just get rid of my face, actually, we don't need to see that, just so you can see the full screen. What interests me is he can race prominently. It looked like Benakra, who stays a bit further and Johnson horses like to be aggressive. Darkness stays 8 as well and might be aggressive. The Simcock horse, possibly first run of the season, depends if he's rusty or not. But there could be some pace on here. Mitros usually tracks the pace. He should be in the perfect spot. It can be harder to come from kind of being held up and a bit further back, but I think he'll be in no excuse. I think he might be best off a bit of a stronger pace. Horses to aim at running through and then kind of getting delivered fairly late. I don't think he wants to be in front too long. That's partly influencing my each way musings of what was kind of 6.5, 7-1, which just looks kind of a couple of points too big to my eyes. And he should be kind of a joint favourite in this, as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, the pace setup looks perfect for him. The ground looks perfect. He rarely runs a bad race at the track. We've then got the actual horse in terms of more recent runs and the trainer. I like these little report angles. So Muir and Grassic with Tom Marquandon in the last 30 days are 2 from 5 places. That's always a good sign. The yard generally are going well. The place percentage, they're having winners. Their percentage of rivals beaten, most of their horses are finishing nearer first and last. It's above their yearly average, which I always like to see as well. I don't need to worry about course form as such, in the sense that I'm dealing with a course and distance winner. So how, assuming he's trained by the same trainers, how the yard do at the course is a bit irrelevant in that scenario. And yeah, so the yard are going well and the horse is going well, and that's the other thing I wanted to look at. He ran well off 82 last time. He's gone up £2, which they'll probably be annoyed. It was on soft ground. He doesn't really like soft. He handles it and he tries, but he's definitely much better on a faster surface. He posted an RPR 91. I like it when the racing post ratings are above their mark. And sometimes by a considerable way, especially with progressive horses. That's a decent sign that they're definitely on a trajectory, and assessing what they've been raised against, that isn't a bad little thing to note as well. And the race is working out well. I always like, if possible, to have a bit of hot form, especially with kind of handicaps like this, less so with big festival handicaps. Royal Ascot, a load of the handicap winners were actually won by horses who'd been winning races recently which haven't been working out that well. The trends and things were more important there, but certainly for kind of handicaps such as this, I like to see if the horse had been racing in and running in a race which was kind of competitive and decent and in and around future winners, or coming from races or competing against horses that are last time out winners, and look progressive themselves and well handicapped, which is always important. And these two kind of were clear. Mitrosonfire got racing a bit sooner than Metrobolt. That may have told in the end, but I think it was the soft ground and that final climb to the line. And Metrobolt, importantly, he won this off 82. He's since gone in again off 85. He was clearly bumping into a well handicapped and in-form horse, which is useful to know. And I'm not quite sure there's such in-form horses in this race today. And yeah, so that's another kind of tick in my box. What else should I touch on? I will touch on the profiling tool, which you can use to go through each horse. And I will just touch on Mitros just as another thing. He carried 9 stone 9 at Leicester. I can change all these things to handicaps and everything else. So I just put on flat turf, actually. You can see that he's actually never won on soft. He's definitely best on good to firm. I can look through this profile tool just to get an idea. So yeah, 4 from 12, 6 places on good to firm. He's never won on soft, so you can probably mark up that run at Leicester. But yeah, I mean, you can look at that. It's clear he wants to hear his hooves rattle, which he gets today. He does look like he wants 7 furlongs now. He was good over 6 when younger in some big fields and some competitive races, fast run races. Class 3 is just fine. Field size is good. He's generally good up to kind of 10, 11 runners. He doesn't, bigger fields probably struggles with. That might be because he tracks a pace and gets racing plenty early enough and then runs out of boot. And the other thing was weight. I just wanted to look at, so he's just to look at Leicester, where he carried 9 stone 9. When carrying 9 stone 8 and above, he's 0.71 places in terms of actual weight in handicaps. When he's kind of in this weight range that he's got today, 3 from 8, 4 places. So that was a positive. he's good returning, kind of quick return. He's won after breaks are longer in non-handicaps. He's placed enough times. I'm not concerned about his break. June's generally a time where he peaks, kind of June through to August. That's not a surprise given his liking for good to firm ground, obviously. But this is his time of year, and that's obviously linked to going, or can tend to be linked to going. And yeah, Newmarket. He's 2 from 7, 3. 2 from 7 on Newmarket courses. But yeah, the GG stats cover both, but I think most of them hidden at the July course. And Tom's placed on him a couple of times. So, you can go through all those different runners. But that was the case for Mitros. I can flick through some of the others. Let me just do it quick. I'll end up being 15 minutes. But for those of you finding it interesting, you'll find it interesting. If you don't, you'll probably stop watching already. He's got some Newmarket form. I can see why he's been nibbled at previously with Clive Cox. He has been a bit keen and at times. It's the unknown on good to firm puts me off a bit because this should be pretty quick today. He ran okay. That was his first start after a wind up. Will he bounce back second run? That does happen plenty, of course. I just probably wanted to see a bit more under 9 stone 7 top weight. And also the jockeys riding for Julie Camacho for the first time. I thought one of her more go-tos might be on if this was the day. I do try and think about human behaviour and what they're doing and how they're thinking, or try to. That might be complete nonsense. And the jockey booking, Daniel Muscat's a very good jockey, as an aside, as you can see by his recent stats and generally. But I just wondered, maybe I just want to see a bit more. And that ground issue. He can be a bit keen. He might get stuck on the wing as well. The stalls up the centre. The Minutia horse is 0 from 10 in his career. I suppose that kind of put me off in the competitive handicap. Good to firm ground, a question as well. He has been running okay, but I thought he was short enough in that context. Minutia's, in fairness, he never blasts them in. I think they're running okay, but maybe they could be going better. Benoit de la Siette. I do like jockeys riding with confidence. And he's 1 from 17 from the yard. I wouldn't mind him booting a few more home. Benecra's got second time cheek pieces on. I suspect because they're a bit concerned about his recent form and possibly not putting it all in. He's got a question on good to firm, certainly in handicaps. He seems to be a bit tripless. I wondered if 7 furlongs was going to be too sharp, given they've tried him over further. It is doing something different. Maybe it's a reason for an improvement. He does arrive in form, but he's a bit inconsistent and hasn't won since October 22. He hasn't won since he was a 3-year-old. The okay run, but that was enough to put me off. Persuasion looks a bit, he's 3 from 32. He's getting on a bit. He doesn't really arrive in great form. He is evidently well handicapped. He handles conditions. But yeah, it's been a long time since his, it hasn't been a long time since he's won, sorry, Thirsk. That was off 84. He's off 87 here. Maybe his mark needs to come down a little bit more now. He's kind of getting older and regressing, I'm not sure. He's been in and out, but I preferred Mitros and his more recent form. He's a bit more consistent on good to firm ground. The yard are going okay. Callum Shepherd's riding well. He is down in class, but I want to see a bit more. The David Simcock horse, let me just touch on him quickly. Just has no record fresh. First run of the season. I suppose he did stay on. He's back up to 7. He's a course and distance winner of 75. Class 4 level. I thought this is a class 3. So there's a class question, fitness question off 278 days. Simcock isn't prolific with 60 plus day returners, as you can see there, and isn't exactly firing them in as well, although they seem in okay form. If he's tuned up, possibly, but the fitness and class questions, I suppose, were enough for me. Darkness does have a course win over 8 furlongs. He just doesn't win very often. 1 from 25 in the last 5 years. I suppose that was simply enough to put me off. And does he want further now? They'll probably try and be a bit aggressive, but there was enough there to put me off. He arrives in okay form. He's clearly not going. Well, I don't think he's getting any better. It's just when he kind of hits form. He is off 84, and yeah, his last win was off 91, so evidently well handicapped, and on that basis I can see why he's been nibbled at as well. Would I prefer Tudhope on? Possibly. I'm just trying to look who won on him last time. Neil Callan. Jason Watson is one from 49 in the last 30 days. Again, maybe not riding with loads of confidence, but yeah, he might be up there and he stays further, but I wondered if he might actually lack the pace late on in this. Waiting All Night is up in class. 0-14, 3 places on the turf. I suppose that was enough to put me off as well. Ran okay in Beverley in a class 4, but needs more from somewhere, and I wasn't quite sure where that more would come from. Stuart Williams, so-so, 135 last 30 days, 0-12 last 14. Connor Planner seems rides his place okay, but he again looks a bit out of form. He has been staying on. He is back over 7. He is well handicapped, class 4 though, bit of a class question I think. Isn't getting any younger either, and I was happy to leave. That does leave Abel Kane. Oisin Murphy back on, that might explain why he's being nibbled at. Blinkers return, he does seem okay in headgear. Trainer jockey in form. The Rod Millman team are in decent form as well, and that's probably worth noting more generally. 6 from 23, 12 places last 14 days, 66% of rivals beaten. And yeah, so that team's clearly worth keeping on side. Abel, he's finished ahead of Mitros before around here on softer ground. I'm hoping he overturns that form. He is generally kept busy. You can see, yeah, that win was here on good to soft. He hasn't got a good to firm win to his name since, since he was, back in September 20. I wonder if he's getting older and he actually wants a bit more cut in the ground. It was the fact that Mitros is much better on faster ground, which I think kind of swung it. He is very well handicapped though. He ran okay in a class 4 there. Is it a sign that he's actually just getting on a bit and regressing a little bit? Possibly. He was outpaced there. He's now back up in class. That seemed to find him out of Goodwood. There's just a few too many questions there for me. But he is very well handicapped. He will add some pace to the race, I hope. But I hope Mitros on this ground has a bit too much for him late on. But he is an interesting one, and maybe out of all of these, probably is the second most interesting, given how well handicapped he is. The yard form, Oisin Murphy back on board, and yeah, he's got court, and he's a course and distance winner. So I could see him going well. It's just whether he finds his ground quick enough. But yeah, Mitrosonfire was the one for me. 6.5, 7s each way for the reasons stated. If I just jump over to let me just refresh odds checker. Yeah, he's still 6.5, 7s. Abel Kane's been nibbled at, but similar price. It's an open handicap on paper, as you can see, but I thought Mitros was overpriced for all those reasons stated. And yeah, that's the logic, that's the thinking, and do with that as you please. But hopefully he can track the pace, get out. Sit behind 2 or 3 of them, Abel Kane, Darkness, maybe another, and get going as they kind of hit the climb to the line and hit the line hard, relishing this faster ground. If he runs as he did last time and builds on it, he won't be out of the top 3 here. I just can't picture that at all. And hopefully he has just enough of these weights to get the job done at one of his favourite places. He loves a stiff climb to the line. He likes fast ground. So fingers crossed. Ticks lots of boxes. Yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and a very well done if you've got to the end. This is Josh saying bye for now.